In this video, we'll add an extra level to the game and make an end goal in the first level so that when you collide with it, you transition to the second level. Before we start to think about loading another level, the first thing we should do is build it. So I will go into my scenes folder, and here we have our sample scene, which you can see in the hierarchy is the scene we're currently in. So I will just rename this to level 1. And instead of creating a new scene, I would like to keep stuff like my player and my camera confiner in the next level. So simply I will just duplicate this, and this will automatically name it to level 2. I will open up my level, and the first thing I will do for this level is go to my ground and platforms tile palette, marking an area here, and then selecting my eraser to erase basically my whole level. I will also go ahead and delete the collectibles, and now I will start building my level. I won't spend too much time on this, as the aim of this video is just to show you how to add multiple levels and switch between them. To make sure that we respawn at the start of the level, we also need to create a new player spawn point and assign it in the inspector. Alright, I think I'm done building my level now, so I'll go back to my scenes folder and load the first level. If you haven't done it yet, remember to save your current level. Now that we have multiple levels, we can start creating our goal. So I will go to my assets folder, and in my imported assets, I will go to the items, checkpoints, end, and in here, we have this golden trophy. Make sure to edit the sprite so the pixels per unit is 16 and the filter mode is set to point. Then I will just simply drag the frame in here, and it's a bit too large in my opinion, so I will just scale it down a bit. And it will also need a box collider 2D to make sure that we can collide with it. I will set this box collider 2D to be trigger, and now we can collide with our goal, but we still have no script for it. So I will go back into my scripts folder and create a new monobehavior script, which I will call win sequence. I will rename my goal object to goal, and I will attach my win sequence script to it. Open up the script, and the only job of this script is to detect when the player reaches the goal and then load the next scene. So to load scenes, first we need the using Unity engine scene management. I will then delete the start and update methods from my script, and instead I will use the on trigger into 2D. And the first thing we need to make sure is that it's actually the player we collide with before loading the next scene. So if collision.get component player controller, so if the object we collide with has the component player controller on it, then we need to load the scene. In the last video, we covered build indexes. So if you don't know what that is, make sure to go back and watch the last video about creating a game over screen, because for this we will need the build index. Firstly, we need the build index for our current scene. So I will create a new int, name it current scene index, and this will be set to SceneManager.getActiveScene.buildIndex. We will also need the build index for the next scene, so we will type int next scene index equal to current scene index plus 1. Then we will use our SceneManager.load scene. Which scene do we want to load? We want to load the next scene index. So let's just go through this line by line. First, we get the build index of our current scene. Then we create the next scene index, which is just set to our current scene plus 1. And finally, we tell Unity to load that scene. So to make it a bit clearer, I will go to File and Build Profiles, and here you can see we have our scene list. If we open up that list, we can go back to our scenes folder and drag our newly created level in here. Now we have scenes level 1 and level 2. So our current build index for level 1 is 0, and the next scene index is our current scene index 0 plus 1, which means our next scene index is currently 1. And if we added another level and we were on level 2 and wanted to load level 3, then our current scene index would be 1, while our next scene index would become 2. So in this way, we can keep the method flexible and don't need to change it each time we add a new level, as long as we make sure that our scenes are arranged in the right order in the scene list. We will save the script, and now when we play our game, we can go to our end goal, and when we collide with it, the next scene loads. But you might see there's a small issue here. Our lives text is gone, and our points are set back to 0. So what we need now is to make our UI persistent between levels. We will do that by going to our scripts folder and creating a new monobehavior script, which I will name persistent UI. We will then go to our UI parent object and attach our persistent UI script as a component. When we open up the script, all we need to do is to delete the start and update methods, and instead we will use the await method. Inside await, all we need to type is build, destroy, unload. And for the parameters, we will need the current game object. So what this method does is that it keeps things persistent between levels, and don't destroy them on transitioning from one level to another. We will save the script, and now when we switch between levels, we can still see our UI, we can update our lives counter, and we can display a game over screen. But now we have a new problem. When I click the restart button, our lives are reset, but our points are not. And it's the same case in our first level. If I press the restart button from the game over screen, our points are not reset, even though our collectibles are respawned. So now we also need a way to reset the score. So in our points manager script, we will scroll to the bottom and create a new public void method, which we will call reset score. And in here, all we need to do is set our points variable to 0 and update our points text to the current amount of points. And now over in our game over manager script, in our restart level method, all we need to do is to use the points manager.instance.reset score. And now when we run out of lives, you can see our points are currently 20, and when we hit restart, our points are reset. Well done on this video. We now have multiple levels and a persistent UI system that works the same across our different scenes. In the next video, we'll add particle effects so the player gets more the feeling of a reward when completing the level. Until then, thank you for watching, like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.